Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite Dark Sorcerer here, and tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about tests and trials, okay, or trials and tests. Well, first of all, I want you to look at this from two perspectives, okay? The first perspective is that of healing, okay? When you do any form of healing, such as using oleums, using herbs, plants, your basic herbalism, and you bring in the gods, they're going to put you through hell. Okay? Think of it, what are you willing to put forth to do this particular rite? This type of thing affects the body in many, many different ways. First of all, take a necromantic rite for an example of healing, or that of a destruction rite. Okay? It really plays hell on your body. For an example, over the last week and a half, I have been working on a destruction rite, okay? A curse, okay? Now, what started out with a 3-week divination trial, for me anyways, experiments and all that stuff, with just a black scrying mirror, turned into a ritual for a curse. Now, I did everything that I always did, but in this case, it was like that whatever energy I was trying to raise was just like a vacuum. And it was just something was just taking it. Was feeling cranky, feeling tired. And as my elder always says, that's when you need to go forth with it. You need to continue on with it. So I did this. I continued on doing this. And I ended up going to a store in my area and I picked up a box. Okay. And this particular box I turned into a Daibok box. Now, for those of you who do not know what a Daibok box is, it is a Jewish box that houses demons. Okay. This is where you house a demon, you trap it, and you bury it. However, what a lot of people don't realize about this particular type of box is that you can use it as an accursed item. Okay. So if you have an item, let's say for an example, oh, I don't know, I'm just going to throw this out there. Let's say a Griscris bag or a voodoo doll, or say for an example, a cursing jar. Okay. And you put all the wardings, all the seals, on the box. You do the same thing with these other items, and you put them in. You put these items inside the box. Okay, you fill it with all the ashes, all the sulfur, the brimstone, whatever you want to, whatever you're using for your destruction, right? And you put it in there. You just pile it all in there, all in that one box. Okay, and you're still calling on the gods. Every single night, you're calling on the spirits. You're calling on the gods, your ancestors, the Loa, the Orisha, the old gods of the old faiths and old religions, long long since forgotten. And you have all the candles. Say for example, 9 candles around the circle, 3 candles in a triangle of evocation with that box and everything right there in the center. And as the candles are melting down over it, you're pouring the wax on the corners so that it runs down the sides and it's literally sealing that box closed. Okay. If it has one of those latches on the front, for an example, you can literally pour the candle wax over it so that when it hardens, it will prevent anybody from opening that. Now, you'll keep in mind that whoever looks at this item will also see the seals that you have on it. So if they by chance end up finding it, guess what? This is why it's called an accursed item. Okay? You don't fuck with it. Okay? You just don't fuck with it because it's The curse is specific for whatever purpose you're using it for. If it's for an enemy, if it's for people where you work, okay? If it's, say for an example, for a client, whatever, whatever it is, and you have those seals on there as a freaking warning to people, don't fuck with this. Guess what? It's gonna go on to you as easily. It's gonna go on to that enemy, that opposition, okay, within the workplace or with that family drama or whatever it is that you use that curse for. So you don't just got the planetary symbols, you got the seals of the gods. You got the particular seals that are determined for death. The hex, the jinx, whatever you're using. Okay, know the difference. All on the outside of this box, not just the outside, but in the inside as well. Okay, and then you place that item inside. You have all the sulfur, the black sand, the graveyard dirt, all of it right there because it's a symbolization of death. If you have chicken's feet, or say, for an example, iron nails like railroad spikes, put them in it. Okay, seal it up. Let the candle wax go down over it. This here shows literally just how badass one of these things are. Okay, and can be. So anyway, I did a few recordings. I put it, the recordings on my TikTok channel, my Timber channel. I even posted some of them on my Facebook channel and some of the groups I'm in, and kind of just showing people, what I've been up to lately. So, I mean, this has been really cool stuff. And all of a sudden, a friend of mine reached out to me about the day before yesterday, and he just said he just got approached by Beelzebub, Satan, and Lucifer, and they all said basically it's done. The individual is done for. Okay, these are upper level demons that have just come forth and just basically said it was directed to me. This message was literally directed to me through my friend, who's a channeler. Okay, so he gets in touch with me and he says that these spirits literally have come to him and said, "Hey, tell him it's done. This person is toast. Basically, he is fucked." Okay. So it's like awesome, you know? So I last night I didn't really do it right. I went in, I lit the candles, I moved the item from the circle and everything, set it off to the side. I lit the incense, the candles, and I gave libations, the offerings to the gods and to the spirits that I had been calling. And I mean, I'm sitting there watching the incense. I mean, the incense was going nuts. I mean, I'm talking thick incense going straight up in a spiral. Okay. But more so, you're seeing images in the smoke. The candle flames were going nuts. And this is a room that has no ventilation. Okay. No ventilation. One way in, one way out. Okay. So I mean, to see all these candles just going nuts where there's no airflow. Okay, it's pitch black in there without the candles, the candlelight. So to see all of this going into play, you know that your prayers have been heard. You know that your petition has been received and accepted. Okay. So it's not just that. I even had a black scrying mirror sitting there when I was doing this stuff. Okay. And I can tell you that the power within this rite was magnificent. And I'm thinking about I may use it again, okay, down the road. Now, I've only had 3 occasions throughout 32 years of using a debunk box. So this was actually my 3rd time using it, okay, between Tennessee, Texas, and now here in Maine, okay? So to see the outcome of this and to see the literally, I walk into my ritual room and the power is there. I mean, it's unmistakable, the energy current. It is powerful, it is potent. So I wanted to come on here and kind of just tell you that the gods will put you in a form of a trial. Okay. For the last few days leading up to my friend, delivering this message. I've been fighting a cold, okay? It came out of the nowhere. I mean, I don't get sick, okay? I really don't. I don't get sick. I mean, I have flare-ups in my joints every so often due to the, injuries I've had over the years, but I don't get sick. I may get one symptom, like, say, a sore throat or, clogged up, congestion, whatever. Um, Maybe a little bit of exhaustion, but this was full on. I'm talking mucus, I'm talking coughing, your typical head and upper respiratory system attack. And then to make things worse, I ended up going from the day shift to the morning shift starting this past Sunday. So I really had no chance to adapt to going from the day to the mornings. And this week has been very trying because now I have to learn the morning stuff routines, and one of the most trying aspects is you can't do things yourself. Okay, I'm used to working with maybe two other people, maybe three if we're lucky. So it's a total of four people. So I mean, now we're working with six, if not more, depending on the morning and who's there. So it's you got to remember. Okay, it's really frustrating because you're used to just taking the order and then going to get the donut or the drink or starting the espressos, and it's like, okay, somebody's already beat me to it. So you're gonna get it's frustrating to see that change. But like I said, it's a trial. They're hitting me at more than one way. Okay. Number one, it's that physical ailments. Secondly, it's the my job. Okay. Now what's interesting is not only did I get put into mornings, but I'm also being evaluated for management programs. Okay. So this is affecting a lot of different areas. And the gods are playing on this. But then all of a sudden, a friend of mine reached out, and like I said, and he goes, "Hey, they just wanted me to tell you, it's done." Okay. And then since yesterday, it's like the freaking waterworks are coming out of my nose. It's like whatever was in me is now coming out. And it's like, okay, this is interesting. So anytime you do spell work, count on that you're going to be tested. You're going to be tried. It does not matter what the right is. I've always told you guys, whatever you put into your rights is what you're going to get out of it. So if you're going to do a destruction ritual, a love, a lust ritual, a compassion ritual, whatever, be prepared for a trial. Be prepared for a test. You have to find yourself worthy. Okay? They have to find you worthy for this, which means if you want to take a life through magic, through witchcraft, you really got to perform and go the distance. Okay? Trust me on this. It sucks, but it happens. Now, like I said, I haven't been sick in over 20 years. 20 years. Okay? I've never been sick in 20 years. But yet, here we are. The test in a trial. So, guess what? And I still went to work. I still did my job. I pushed myself, and this was the outcome. Three of the most powerful underworld demonic entities telling me it's been accepted, it's been approved, done. That individual is fucking toast. So guess what? Yay. Okay. So keep that in mind. And you're gonna have distractions as well. Thing if you have a family like I do, trust me, your son or daughter's gonna want to be around you when you're doing these rites. Your better half is going to want to interrupt your rituals and your chanting. And or if you have animals, they're naturally inclined to come in. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. I know my familiar. I've got three cats, three of the four cats that we have that like to be in my altar. Don't know what it is about it, but they're there. Okay, even when there's no candles on there, they'll just sit there and watch the altar room door. They will go in. They'll try to sneak in there. I mean, I've gone in there and I've seen my cats. literally inside the circle, okay, of empowerment. I've seen them sleeping on the altar itself, okay, or underneath. And it's interesting to see just how these animals operate within them. But I would also tell you that when you get into any ritual or rite, I would recommend doing a form of divination. Okay. Now, the reason for that is I find personally that if you do a tarot card reading or a rune reading, bone casting, whatever, you're going to get a much more clearer understanding of what type of rite is needed to be performed. In this case, I was using cartomancy, okay? But I also use the black scrying mirror. I use shadowmancy and meditation, okay? The void meditation, which helps me get into that state of between this realm and the spiritual nexus so that I can commune with the spirits and figure out, okay, this is what's going on. This is what I'm preparing for. How can I make this better? Okay. And again, it's showing you're making the effort to go into these rites. So when you go in and do these rites, you're doing the preparation work, you're preparing, you're finding out the right tools to use. You're calling on the spirits. You're using the items of divination. You're meditating and reflecting upon them. Okay? Here is where your journey begins, especially into hexcraft or any other form of ritualistic rites and ceremonies that you're doing. Okay? And what's interesting is when it comes to rites and rituals and calling on spirits, the spiritual conjuration, you're going to be tested. You're going to be tried. It's the only true way for you to be able to complete these rites. Out of all my years of doing these rites, I have never felt anything as potent as the system I'm currently working in. And like I said, to see how they were testing me while doing this right. And like I said, it took me about a week, week and a half just to do this one destruction right. Okay. Every single night, I'm talking giving libations of Fireball whiskey and the incense, the candles, the cursing and all that other stuff. It's very, very interesting to see how they try. It's very, very interesting to see the trials and the tests that they put me through. And I can't wait to see where they go from here. Okay, because I still got to go and bury this fucking thing. Problem is, I haven't found the tool yet to be able to go do that. I got to get a whole new tool because my other one broke. So I got to go find another little shovel to go bury it. But I would also recommend that if you do any hexcraft whatsoever, do not bury it within 1 mile of your home. Okay. The reason for that is because if you bury it within the mile, it's so close to your home that it can actually come back to your home. So you want to bury it outside of that. Okay. Especially if it gets found, then they have a huge, huge range to look for, especially if you end up in another witch hunt. Okay. Which it seems to be going that direction lately. And yes, I have been paying attention to the media. So, men like gods, welcome back to the channel, brother. So, you want to bury it outside of a mile. You want it within, say, for an example, a cemetery, a forested area, someplace where it will not be disturbed. I mean, a lot of people, they won't do this shit, especially if it's a necromantic rite or ritual. And it's interesting to see just how far people would go. I mean, I've seen practitioners bury these things in abandoned churches, run down churches that's going to be renovated, places of worship. It's just one more, proverbial knife in the back, so to speak, to the right wing fascists. So you can do it in that setting. You can bury it out in the woods. I recommend a rotted tree, someplace where it won't be discovered. Cemetery, if you know of a new plot that's being buried, opened up for a burial, you can sneak it in there and let them do everything. Let just adds more decimation to your enemy. But there's a lot of things that you can do when burying this. You really do, like I said, want to keep it outside of that mile. So that's what I got to say. That's all I got to say for right now. I'll be back on sometime down the road for a whole nother video. I do have another cartomancy reading that I got planned closer to the end of the week. So, with that said, have a good night, and I've got one more day of work. Then after that, more rites and rituals. I may do a live ritual. I don't know. So, have a good one. Thanks for coming on, Men Like Gods. It's always a pleasure having you here. You too. Have a good one.